I've turned a mess into a message and earned a return. I've turned scars into stars, lived like avatars. No one can stop you if you believe in your heart.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you so much, Derek, for jumping on the show, man. The fact that I have you on here is just so awesome. I know you have a lot going on. You have, 7 books now. You do your motivational speaking. You have your family. You have your your rapping stuff, which
Rapping
I love.
dad, yeah.
You're a busy man these days.
Yes, blessed. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, tell people a little bit that may not know who you are, just a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Oh gosh. So I'm a dad, number one, husband, 26 years, 4 kids, got 4 children and 3 boys and a girl. And then as an occupation, I'm a motivational speaker, coach, trainer. And then on the side, so I'm a wannabe rapper.
Yes.
So I work during the day as a speaker, trainer, and such. And then at night, I'm this wannabe rapper. That's what I even said on Steve Harvey's TV show when I was on his TV show. I'm like, motivational speaker by day, wannabe rapper by night. So then, fortunately, my videos have had over 250 million views on social media and YouTube and such, and been shared with many, many celebrities. And it's by many celebrities, and it's been an amazing roller coaster ride, and I'm enjoying it and just throwing down, rapping, but always having some message to it, you know?
Okay.
And then I've written 7 books. You know, people say, well, how did you become a motivational speaker? And I spent 13 years in foster care, in Alameda County foster care, which is Oakland, Hayward, right across the bay from San Francisco in California. So 13 years of feeling abandoned, feeling rejected, was brutally abused the first 5 years of my life, and went through a lot of adversity. So that's how I became a speaker and a coach and a trainer, because I gathered tools over the years on how to live beyond my self-perceived limits, how to never limit my life, and get past the PTSD from all the trauma. And learn to love again, learn to trust again, learn to like myself. So yeah.
Dude, what a man. I'll be honest with you, Derek. I watched a video this morning leading up to this. It's one where you were talking about the story of your mother, like at work, and your father coming in.
Yeah.
Do you mind like sharing that just for a moment, dude? Because
no, that's how I came in this world. It's crazy. My mom had men sexually abuse her, rape her and such, and she got pregnant by this man who forced himself on her. And when she told him, I'm pregnant with your kid, he says, you better go get an abortion. If you don't get an abortion, I'll kill the kid myself. So 3 months, no abortion, 6 months, no abortion, 7 months pregnant. My mom is waitressing at a restaurant in San Diego, California, doing her job. And at 7 months pregnant, you got a nice bump there. And I'm enjoying myself, swimming in the amniotic fluid in the warmth of my mother's womb. I like to think positive.
yes.
But reality is about to set in. My mom's doing her job, waiting tables, and my 6'4" dad comes into that restaurant in a fit of rage because she didn't get an abortion. She then was scared of him, but he came after her, grabbed her long blonde hair, whiplashed her to the floor, dragged her back into the kitchen, and continued to stomp on her stomach over and over and over again to abort me, to kill me. But I lived. See, God has a way of taking broken pieces and turning them into masterpieces. So that's what I try to do, is help people because of my adversity, help them take their broken pieces and turn them into a masterpiece. You know what I'm saying? So it was a long ride to get to where I am today. My dad was in and out of prison for years, and my mom had 3 kids from 3 different men. So it was very dysfunctional house, which with that dysfunction comes dysregulation of a kid's emotions and learning how to regulate your emotions. But if your nervous system's always pumping fear and survival, then that becomes your survival techniques, is what you've learned as a little kid. And you realize as an adult that those survival techniques are not healthy in a relationship when you're married or when you have kids. So you have to basically change your thoughts, change your mind, change your habits, change your mind, change your tongue, change your language, change your mind. You know what I'm saying? So I worked a lot on that and believing in myself and not letting other people's mistakes destroy my greatness.
I love that, man. I love that you acknowledge that your greatness
Right.
in these situations. But I mean, let's be honest, most people aren't able to get out of a pattern like that, Derek.
Yeah, it's very tough. They medicate. They self-medicate with drugs and alcohol and pills and all that stuff. And I know I come from California, raised in the San Francisco Bay. You know, 74% of the male prison inmates in California have been in foster care. 80% of the Texas death row inmates have been in foster care. So, and I know it's just, there's a lot of kids that probably needed to be in foster care, but grew up in a very rough home, you know? And so I realized there is a lot of ancestral trauma, a lot of generational cycles and curses that are happening, and it's tough to get out. But you can get out. Yes. And if you surround yourself with the right people, number one, you become that product of environment. Do you want to fly with the eagles or you want to hang out with the chickens? You know what I'm saying? Like the eagles, why the eagle? It rises above the storm. So that's what I liken myself to, as the walking eagle, you know? And so I believe that you can change your life. I've seen it over and over and over again of people I've met throughout this world that I'm able to spend 20, 30, 45 minutes with, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes on and their perspective changes about their life. Mm-hmm. So, but it is hard. You got to change your environment. You got to change your friends. You change your friends, you change your life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So,
and which is so, like, you hear that and it seems like such a simple concept, and theoretically it is, but it's, the work is hard because you have to be willing to let go of those people.
Yeah. And one of, you know, before I became a speaker, I owned a multi-million-dollar company, and all this wonderful success I've had because I worked hard. Because my favorite word is tenacity, persistent determination, right? It's not about your IQ, it's about your I will. It's not about how much smart you have, it's about how much heart you have, right? So when you put that into your mindset and into your heart, I call it sinking your mind to your heart. You sink them, then nothing can stop you. But the key is that you've got to control a few things in your life. You got to control your attitude. Your attitude's your best friend or your worst enemy. It's something you get to choose every single second of the day. 86,400 seconds in a day, right? And then you get to choose your thoughts. Research has shown we have approximately 30,000 thoughts go through our mind every single day. And a lot of them are going to be negative. So you have to be the gatekeeper, right, of your mind. Bad thoughts out, good thoughts in. You're only one thought away from a new thought, right? But you have to witness your thought and control it and push it out. I liken it to a cell phone. You swipe your pictures, you just swipe in, keep scrolling, just swipe your mind, swipe your mind, swipe your mind, you know? And then your reactions, how you respond to a situation determines your success in life. So if I always reacted angry and reacted out of control, what do you think I'm going to attract more into my life? Remember, anger is one letter away from danger. Anger is one letter away from danger. And so I learned all these little tools, and then I share it with so many people, but they're talking to a person that's overcome brutal adversity. I didn't just go to college and like, oh, I know all the right answers. No, I freaking made it. You know what I'm saying? So
yes. And with that, Derek, because this stuff is just so fascinating to me, right? It's like the neurohacking. It's like, how do you get through in life? How do you elevate yourself so that you can elevate others, right? And that I want to just chat for a second on that, because you talked about being able to manage that anger. And I know, like, I was watching, like I said, some of your videos, and you talked about up until I think it was like 17 is when you had like a lot of rage, a lot of anger. Like, how, do you still have those moments come up? And when you do, like, how do you kind of not suppress them, but deal with them so they can be released?
Yeah, I don't get angry really anymore, because, you know, I used to think that anger was my superpower, because I was angry for almost 18 years of my life. Anger, right? Angry, and rightfully so. I was rejected, I was abandoned, I was abused, nobody came back for me. See, I lost everything in my life. I lost my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my grandma, my grandpa, my self-respect, my identity, my dignity, my bedroom, my everything. But over the years, I learned how to turn nothing into something. And that anger pushed me. I just had to learn to channel it in the right direction. But anger isn't the power. Peace is the power. Having clarity, right? And then reacting the right way. In fact, you choose your reactions. You just don't react. You choose how you're going to respond. If you ever watch Elon Musk, like on Joe Rogan or anything, he's almost boring to listen to sometimes because he thinks about everything he's going to speak. Yes. So there's always a pause before he responds. So how you respond to a situation determines your success in life, right? And so I learned that peace was power. I learned that I could channel my anger into the reason why a lot of people have anger is their expectations are off. And so their expectations around their kids are acting up, or their job, or their spouse, or whatever, right? And so if you change your expectations, you change your life. You change your standards, Tony Robbins talks about, you change your life. And so I'm a big fan of changing your friends. You change your friends, you change your life. If you're the smartest friend in your group of 5, your circle, yes, you better get out. You should have at least 3 friends who are smarter than you. No joke. 3 friends who are smarter than you. I have multi-million-dollar friends that make multi-million-dollars a year. And so what do you think that does? That elevates me. I have friends that make all types of money. Some of my most happiest friends make $40,000 a year. They get vacations, they go fishing, so it doesn't matter, but what it matters is what are those friends, how are they thinking? If they're like always thinking, hey, let's party, let's party, let's party, let's party, what do you think you're going to be a product of? So I don't really watch much TV. I've written 7 books. People say, how do you write a book? Well, I give up TV, I give up partying, I give up drinking, I give up like all these things. I sacrifice because I see what the future can be if I work my butt off now. And so, but that anger, all I did was learn to channel it into more creativity, channel it into persistent determination, tenacity, channel it into failing my way to success. Yeah. Do I get angry? Not really, but once in a while, the lion roars. At the kids too, you know what I mean? Once in a while, the lion's gonna roar. Yes. But I just channel that into patience. I call it my inner wealth, my inner fitness. And I have this whole program on my inner wealth. And as a society, we are taught and we are pushed. Work out your biceps, work out your abs, work out your glutes, go to the gym 1 hour, 2 hours a day. And it's a big thing, and you should take care of your health. But how many people read 15 minutes a day? How many people work on their inner fitness? Not their bicep, but their patience muscle, their determination muscle, their courage muscle, their integrity muscle, their perseverance muscle, all these different muscles. So then when you are faced with adversity, you have inner fitness, right? You can go on a treadmill for an hour. I mean, people run for an hour on a treadmill. I could never do that, but I can tell you I got an hour of treadmill inside of me of inner fitness. So when adversity comes my way, I got the agility, I got the endurance, I can make it through it as quick as possible. And when you have that adversity come your way, it's all about response, like Elon Musk, right? Yes. Think before you react. Yes. And that's the problem, is with anger, you do react. And that's why I'm big on that saying, anger is 1 letter away from danger.
I love that. I love that. Hey, you need to put that on a shirt too. I can do an hour of internal treadmill time. There, come on. Like, people, you need to, if you're listening to this, which I hope you're really like taking this in, rewind that and listen to that section again, because you're so right. It's like a byproduct. Usually anger is a secondary emotion too, right?
And here's the key. This is the key. If you take care of your inside, most people focus on their outside, get all these cosmetic surgeries and all this stuff, and they're still not happy sometimes, right? They change their body type, you can change your hair color, you can change it, but you'll still, if you're not happy inside, you're not going to be happy on the outside. So you work on the inside, your life's going to be much better in the outer world. You get your inner world together, it's a mirror reflection of what your outside world can look like. It's what you look for. If you're always angry, what are you going to see in life? if you're always joyful and happy, you're going to see the happy things in life. You're going to stop and smell the roses, or you're going to want to punch someone.
Yes.
So
Yes, and this is stuff. This is great for parents to hear too, because they don't teach kids this stuff in school.
right.
And I'm assuming, like, is this really important for you when you're talking to your kids to teach them these kind of lessons? Then
I try to teach them, but I got 3 teenagers, and they're
okay.
going to make their own mistakes, and you just are there for them after they make their own mistake, and you hopefully will, when they're humble, they're more apt to listen to you. Otherwise, you're just the dad. And even
Mm,
though they're like, well, their friends come over, your dad's famous or this or that, they don't care. I'm just dad. You know what I mean? I'm just
yeah.
dad. And so, yeah, it's a trial being a parent. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fun, fair, firm parent. They see me in these videos. I'm always fun, but I'm fun, fair, firm.
Mm.
And I'm not my kid's best friend. And I hear a lot of people say, oh, my 16-year-old daughter is my best friend, or my 15-year-old son's my best friend, or my 7-year-old son's my best friend. Oh, yeah, take away their iPhone, take away
Yeah.
their Xbox. You'll see a whole nother side. You take it away for a week, you take it away for a few days, you'll see a whole nother side. Best friends don't have leverage over another friend. You know what I'm saying? You're a parent first.
Mm.
When the kids are out of the house and they're living on their own, then you can be great friends, best friends, whatever. But right now, you have leverage over them. And when you take that phone away, or that Xbox, that PlayStation, or TV, or whatever, they are not your friend.
You're like, look, friend's gone, dad's here. I'm
Right.
taking this away right
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so great. So let's rewind time a little bit here,
Yep.
Derek, and let's chat. So you have 3 boys and a daughter.
Yep.
Is one of your sons the oldest then?
Yes.
Okay. So
So I got a
walk me
19, 17, 15, and 11-year-old.
okay. So you're sitting there with your 19-year-old, get in the delivery room, whatever, through your personal experience of what you went through growing up and now being in this situation. Can you kind of walk me through, like, emotionally how you were handling everything?
Oh man, I was scared. I was scared. I mean, I think it's a normal response. I don't know what kind of dad I'm going to be, but one of my big responses was I hadn't really seen my mom or dad. My dad was always in and out of prison, and then he just gave up. He didn't want to deal with me. So I haven't seen him since I was 2. But my mom, I remember I got to find my mom when my son came, because and then my second son came. I'm even more scared because it came within 2 years. My second son, and I was like, I got to find my mom. I got to find my mom. I don't even know what kind of dad I'm going to be. I don't know anything about being a parent. I didn't understand it. And it was known. I mean, I didn't want to have kids, and my wife didn't want to have kids. And then we decided, 7 years into our marriage, that maybe we should have kids, try it out. And because I was crazy Uncle Derek, the uncle to my nieces and nephews. So, but when that child comes, you become so vulnerable, and you're like, now I'm tasked. I have an honor to take care of this kid, but am I going to mess up this kid? As I'm the first one to do something with my life. I have ancestral trauma going back for a couple centuries, and so everything's put on me.
Mm.
And I had to learn some new ways of living, some new ideas, take parenting classes. My wife, she's an occupational therapist, so she knew a lot about, with kids and all the stuff that comes with that. And I was just scared, and my wife was just like made for it, and so it took a couple years for me, to be honest, how to be a dad that wasn't scared. It was scary because I did not want to corrupt or ruin this beautiful canvas of life that's just so pure. And so it was tough, the first few years. And then and then everything seems to be better and better. And then they become teenagers, and a couple of them went a little crazy, and I'm like, holy cow, I didn't sign up for this. So teenage years are tough, especially they have my blood in them. And I was a crazy teenager. So they're less crazy than me, but like it was tough. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, almost, I'm sure, and I've heard this from multiple dads, you're like, you just don't even know like what call you're gonna get or what's going
Yeah.
on. Like, it's
Yeah.
like
And who their friends are and who they're
yeah.
hanging around with, and are their friends a good influence, and
Mm,
all those things you didn't even think about when they're 2, 3, 4, 5. They're your little buddy. They're your buddy for a number of years. They're a superhero. Your daughter's first love, and then the son looks at you as the dad is like, oh, my superhero, the strong one, right? So, but yeah, it's been an amazing ride.
sure. It's so wild. So now, like, so you still have what, three in the house then?
I still got 4, yeah.
Oh, four. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't kicked the third one out of the nest, the fourth one out of the nest yet.
And
He's
that's all
figuring it
good.
out.
That's all.
Yeah.
And like now that, I mean, they all are older and they do see the things that you're doing and stuff. Do you feel like they pick up on a lot still of like you as an example, just like watching what you're doing? Or do you still feel like you have to be in dad mode a ton to be like, all right, guys, is your homework still done? Is this still going on? Or are they like, you know what? My dad's crushing it. He's always working, doing his thing. So we're just going to kind of mimic that.
You know, I'm a big fan of try to make your mistakes as a teenager before you turn 18.
Hmm.
So, because when you turn 18, you don't just magically make good choices. You don't just magically make the right choice. It's all about your habits. So what can my kids learn from their mistakes so that by the time they're 18, they'll be ready for the real world, or 19 or 20, right? They're ready for the real world. I don't want them making a ton of mistakes when they're 20, when they could have had some of those mistakes when they're 16, 17, right? And so, but you're going to make mistakes throughout your life. I've made mistakes in my 30s, 40s, blah, blah, blah. And you learn from you. I call it failing my way to success. But if we can get some of the crazy crap out that teenagers do and get it out of the way, so by the time they're adults, it's a different world for them. And then they can work on new mistakes that aren't, prebescent or teenage mistakes, so.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, so I give them a little leadway. I'm not a controlling parent. I'm a fun, fair, firm parent, like I said, but I do give them some. I'm not a helicopter parent, I guess you might say. I let them figure out things on their own, and then we talk about their mistakes after they get busted.
Sure. Sure.
What can you do better? And here's the thing. For years and years in the car, every time we got in the car, I had this mantra for all my kids that they would repeat. So it would be like, I'm a Clark, because my last name Clark. I'm a Clark. I am strong. I am strong. I am generous. I am generous. I am kind. And they would say, I am kind. If I tell a lie, I will get in so much trouble. But if I tell the truth, I may get in a little trouble or no trouble at all, depending on what what they broke an iPad or they broke whatever, right? But I want the truth. I am a Clark. I will never give up. I will not embarrass myself, my friends, my family, my God, right? I will not embarrass myself, my friends, my family, my God. Um, I will not do drugs. I will not smoke cigarettes. I will not drink alcohol. I am a Clark. I will never give up. Kia kaha, which in New Zealand, in Maori language, it means kia kaha means forever strong. Like I am strong, forever strong, right? So we always ended on that. Kia kaha, the tribal just strength coming out. And guess what? That was implanted in their brain for years and years and years, and they still made lots of mistakes on those. I'm like, drugs are not, instead of like, I will not do drugs are not healthy. I will, I could have done things. I will not drink alcohol. Alcohol is bad for the liver or something, what I mean? Like maybe change it up, because I was doing, I will not, I will, and so maybe change things up. But they've made mistakes, and I kept planting seeds and seeds and seeds inside of them, and it's up to them to see when they're going to take root. But they're great kids, they're loving kids, and I love being a dad. It's just, there's no perfect parent, number one.
Amen.
And I have seen people talk to me saying my kids was perfect for 18 years, 19 years of their life, just perfect. Then they went off to university and were always drinking and smoking weed and doing all the crazy stuff. And then they got in a car crash or a DUI or whatever, right? So you can have the perfect kid, But a lot of problems happen in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. They get hooked up on pills in their 40s, pain pills, right? And they lost their job. This is your own kid, right? You know, and like all the things I was just talking to someone that their kid had been great, everything. And then in the early 40s, they got hooked up on pain pills and their life is just out of control now. In your 40s, when you were just, so, you know, everybody's going to have their own issues, and it's tough being a parent, number one. But number two, you have to let them have their space too. I'm not all about flipping out on my kids. I'm not all about do this. I'm not a dictator at all. I'm not a dictator. I've heard nightmare stories of people I've met that their parents were just so strict on them, and then what do you think they did as an adult? They rebelled.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Let's get the rebelliousness out of the way when they're like 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Get that out of the way, so then we give them all the tools that when they're adults, they're like, oh, my parents are great. There's that appreciation. I meet so many people that harbor bitterness towards their parents, and they're 30, 40, 50 years old. And so let's just get all that out of the way so that we can have a great relationship with our parents as adults, because there's a lot of teenagers that don't like their parents, right? Mm-hmm. And then they become adults and then they appreciate their parents.
Yes.
So let's just, that's what I want to see adults doing, is like, oh, my parents were great, I was the problem. But a lot of times the parents are the problem.
Sure. Absolutely. And I think there's a ton of pressure on parents, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you feel like there's so many parents you see that are like, their child's success, they feel like is their success as well, which,
they live through that kid.
Yeah. They're like, well, my kid made this team or is doing this or has these grades. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
How are you doing?
No, totally. Their identity is their kid's success. Absolutely. Yes. And you see it at all the sports games, the angry parent that the kid didn't run fast enough or didn't catch the ball. And you're like, holy kid, the kid's only 10 years old. You know what I mean? Like, but I know they're living through they're reliving their childhood through them, and so, but I think we got to let kids be kids too.
Yes.
And come from an encouraging standpoint versus a yelling and dictatorship and letdown. You're a letdown because you didn't catch that ball. You're a letdown because you didn't run fast enough or guard that person, or you're embarrassing to me, or whatever. I mean, I've seen it all over. People communicate their issues with me all the time. I always let my parents down. I wasn't good enough at this. I wasn't that. I'm like, holy cow. The parents can do a lot of damage to their kids. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So let's, I want to switch gears here because I love the fact, I gotta shoot this out to you, Derek. So I grew up kind of, very different, but similar in the sense of summers I'd spend in Southern California.
Yeah, okay.
I'd go out there, I'd be with my mom and stuff, and my mom would usually be off doing whatever, and I'd go like down to a pool or just walk around, and I would listen to hip hop on my Walkman. Like I grew up literally like hiding like Dr. Dre's CD, Chronic, and like Snoop, Doggy Style, like all of these CDs like away from my parents because I didn't want to know. So it's like I grew up with that, and I wanted to know, and I love hip hop because of that, and I love freestyle and stuff too. But was that something like, was hip hop like a huge factor then for you as a kid?
Yeah, as a teenager.
And
so, I was 16 years old, and my sister had been shot and killed. My brother had been killed, and my good friend had been shot and killed, all within like a year and a half of 16 to 17 years old. And I was this skater punk. So I had this weird perimeter crown, these horns. I have pictures. It's crazy. And so I was this punk kid, the skater kid. And I was hanging out with my best friend, Arlen Green, AG, we call him, initials AG, African-American kid, Hayward High. And we see in the corner, it's lunchtime in schoolyard. We see a bunch of people in the corner going like, ho, 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 ho. And I'm all, dude, there's a fight over there. There's a big circle. He goes, nah, dude, that's battles. I'm all, what's battles? He goes, rap. I'm like, rap, crap. I don't listen to rap. I listen to 7 Seconds, Dead Kennedys, like all this skater punk crazy music, right? And something inside of me told me, go check it out. So I said, AG, come with me. And we walk over there in this circle. And by this time, I had a reputation called C-Dub at this school because it was a lot of African-American, Hispanic, Samoan, Tongan, like a very cultural melting pot there.
Sure.
And they call me C-Dub, Crazy White Boy. It's short for CWB, Crazy White Boy. I was always in fights, had attitude, all that stuff. And and as I walk over there, I see something that changes my life forever. I see two guys battling each other, not with their fists, battling with their mouths. And I turn to Arlen, I go, dude, I want to be a rapper. He goes, nah, D, you white, you can't do that. And I want to be a rapper. He goes, nah, D, you got no rhythm. And, you know, these two were fighting with their mouths, talking about their mamas. They're cussing each other. They're going crazy on each other. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So then I step up and go, hey, let me battle somebody. I got all this anger and rage in me. I used to think my anger was my power.
Yes.
And I got all this stuff on me, and I'm like, wow, my fists are always getting me in trouble because I was always in fights. But what if I could use my mouth as a weapon? And so they go, C-Dub, get out of here, man. Get out of here, white boy. You're not good, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, then I want to fight. I was juiced up. We used the word juice back then, where you're like juiced up, ready to fight. And they go, oh, no, we don't want to fight you. Okay, you battle this guy. And they bring this guy, and this guy starts going off on me first, talking about my mom, talking about my race, talking about cussing at me, talking about all the things he's going to do to my girlfriend. And I look at Arlen, I go, dude, this guy is so cool. And Arlen goes, look hard, dude, look hard. Because when you're in a battle, it's not complimentary, like, oh, your hair is cool, or your skin's clear, or your clothes are cool. No, we used the word clowning back then. We would clown on people, insult them, right? And so then it was my turn, and I only lasted about 3 seconds, if that, and I sucked. I could not formulate the words coming out. I couldn't rhyme. I had no rhythm. And they go, see, man, you suck. And I go, hey, don't call me C-Dub anymore. Call me Rippin' D. Rippin' D? I go, yeah, that sounds cool, man. I got street credibility right now. I'm Rippin' D. And they go, Rippin' D, whack. Rippin' D, whack. The girls would say it. Rippin' D, whack. I go down A hall, B hall, C hall at high school. And a lot of people would say, Rippin' D, what's up? You whack. Rippin' D, whack. But I didn't care. I believed I was the GOAT, greatest of all time, right? And so obviously I had some mental health issues back then. And I thought I had this cloak of invincibility on me. And then what is rap? Poetry in motion, right? Flowetry. And rap to me was the master key to the lock of my self-imprisonment, my mental prison. Rap to me was the taxi to my spirit. Rap to me was the most unbelievable creative outlet I could ever have, to creatively express myself, to give myself value and give myself and portray the story I want to portray. So I started writing and learning how to do syllable arrangement and syncopation, and just try to get the pain, the inside crap out. So I wasn't writing whack raps. I was writing about my pain of my life. That's what was amazing, is I was actually getting the crap out. And then I was, Rippin' D was coming up. I was trying to battle. And then my friend gave me a reggae mixtape. It was tapes back then, before CDs. And I'm from the old school. And he gave me a reggae mixtape of Lucky Dubé, Peter Tosh, Yellow Man, Bob and Ziggy Marley. And I started listening to this reggae music, and I started vibing out to reggae. I didn't have to smoke weed. I feel good just listening to reggae, just vibing out. And I thought, what if I could mix reggae with rap? That would trip everybody out. And then I realized in one of my little battles, I did something like, I'll be there thinking, and people were like, what'd you just do there? Rippin' D, what'd you do? Rippin' D, what'd you do? And I'm all, what'd I do? He goes, you did something with your tongue. And then I realized I had a gift. See, in this foster home I was in, they taught me how to play clarinet. And I got really good at clarinet, at playing a clarinet. And anybody who's played a woodwind instrument, oboe or clarinet or sax, knows about the tongue hitting the reed, the staccatos. And your tongue has to hit that reed sometimes so quick, especially if you're playing symphonic stuff. And I realized that my tongue moved quick. So then I started listening to this reggae and doing some rhymes and figuring out, what if I can mix it together? And then it became like a stuttery, like they call it a tip stutter or a triplet or a ragamuffin. And then in one of my battles, I did something like, "Will I be the ripping? I'm thinking to make it, taking my time. I'll be the ripping. I'm thinking to make it. I'm gonna make it, kicking it with the rhyme." And then people were like, "Oh my gosh!" And then I switch to reggae. Is a man that want to feel? They're gonna make it. I'm gonna make it, kicking it with the deals. I'm about to be like, nothing is impossible. And then everything changed, and they're like, "Rippin' D, you good? Rippin' D, you good?" And the girls were like, "That white boy is fine." And everything changed. They go, "Rippin' D," and I go, "Don't call me Rippin' D anymore. Call me Diamond." Diamond D, because I'm solid like a rock, unbreakable, came from a little piece of coal to be worth so much now, to overcome, unbreakable. And my life transformed. And who would have thought years and years later, where I'm in the car with my kids, because I would rap in the car with my kids all the time. We call it car bars or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And just rapping, and my kid caught it on video, and we put it on YouTube. And it got like 1,000 views, and we were stoked. And then for 6 months. So sometimes you got to be patient. So it sat for 6 months at about 1,000 views. And then within one day, it hit 10,000. And then all of a sudden people were sending me, "You better monetize your video. Your video's about to go viral." I'm like, "What's monetization? I don't know, right?" And then it went on Reddit, and then it went everywhere. And then all of a sudden, Shaquille O'Neal sends a tweet out to me, "What's up, MC Soccer Dad?" And then I'm on World Star Hip Hop twice, Hood Clips twice, Tosh Point oh, and that was just at the beginning. And then it just went on and on. Then Snoop Dogg shares my stuff. Walk Off a Flock of Flame shares my stuff. T-Pain, T.I., like all these big rappers are sharing my stuff. And then it just grew and grew and grew. And who would have thought something that I used for a coping mechanism of my foster care life and my trauma to get the pain out would eventually enlighten millions and millions and millions of people around the world, and also stump my kids like, "Holy cow, my dad is good." So and what took me over the edge, so it was pretty awesome. I sat around 25 million views here or there, and I was building the following. But what took me over the edge was this one rap. You want to hear it?
Yes, absolutely.
And I was in the car with my kids, my daughter and my son. And when we get in the car, we like to have fun and stuff. And so, and we talk about anything. And I remember this song came on by Nicki Minaj a couple of years ago, and it was inappropriate for my 11-year-old daughter. It was talking about sex and all the crazy things about sex and stuff. And I'm like, "Ooh, turn that off." And she goes, "Dad, I like that." I go, "No, I don't want no twerking in the back seat." And because she did dance, she goes, "Oh, they play that song at a dance studio or something." Like, "No, that is inappropriate." Because sometimes you got to be the gatekeeper for your 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid's mind, right? You can't let them watch violent sex and horror and all that stuff. You got to be the gatekeeper. And so I did something like this. My son was in there, my little son and her, and I go, "Got to keep the lyrics clean, if you know what I mean. No more Nicki Minaj in a twerking machine. No more naked fashion from Kim Kardashian. You a mom. Do you want an intervention in Miley? No more wrecking ball. Put on some clothes. Where's Hannah, yo?" Because my little 11-year-old daughter loved Hannah Montana reruns. And then all of a sudden, Naked Miley came out with Wrecking Ball, and she's like, "Who's this?" Got to turn off Kanye, Eminem, Jay-Z, no more cuss words and negativity, because a lot of rappers talk about drug, sex, killing. But when they going to use the words to start healing, infect the mind of our young kids? When I think about the little boy who didn't know Jesus, but knew Lil Wayne, knew T-Pain, knew 2 Chainz, 50, LeBron James. This is insane in the membrane, because I'm ripping, I'm thinking, I'm making, taking back the grab game. Everybody's got a little battle to battle. I'm the rapping dad, got to get you back in the saddle. Ripping, I'm thinking, I'm making, I'm making, kicking it kind of famous. Here I am now making up my own language. You talk Illuminati, talking about your Maserati or your hottie in the back of your Bugatti, man. What's the real rap? Not bubblegum pop. I'm from the old school of conscious hip hop.
Yeah, let's go. Come on.
And that's how rap used to be, was stories, right? I'm all about stories. I mean, a lot of rap this day is Papa Molly and Percocet and there's no substance anymore. I come from the 80s, 90s where there was just stories. I mean, I recorded out of the same studio as Tupac. I would do the midnight to 8 a.m. session. He would come in with Digital Underground and earlier and do their session. And I recorded out of the same studio as E40, Too Short, like all these big, San Francisco Bay Area rappers, right? And it was always about stories, man. always about stories. I mean, once in a while you had a little dance track here or there, but it was all about the stories. I mean, I remember listening to NWA when NWA came out, and I would literally get, it was on CD,
Yeah.
and I have the cassette, but I would literally, no joke, turn the lights out at night, put the CD or cassette in there, put my headphones on, or sometimes no headphones. And I would just envision, because they had the little skits between the songs, like a, jail sound,
Oh,
or
yeah.
police, like all these things, right? And I would just envision that I was in the group NWA, and here's this white boy, right? But I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because it was all about stories, and you wanted to hear, even like Sir Mix-a-Lot, my posse's on Broadway, right? It was a story. And that was a fun track too. So it was always about the stories. Now you can't even hear rappers flow,
Yeah.
It's just slow. It's slow. So,
I
but fun
love that.
times, man, back then.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Like, just these stories are so much fun. Like you were saying, it is about stories. That's what this whole podcast, that's what it's all about. It's like filling it with, there's more than just the surface level. I feel like
Even Beastie Boys, man. Beastie Boys were stories.
Yeah.
Girl,
Oh
but Paul Revere, all that stuff. I mean, I would even listen to Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One, like MC Light, like MC Shy D. Oh man, so many. Obviously Public, all the main ones, but then I'd always try to find the ones that nobody was, like RBL Posse, like 415, Richie Rich, like all these old Bay Area ones that it was all about stories in the Bay Area, So.
Oh yeah. So what were your thoughts? Sorry, people, y'all just have to listen to this because I'm into this anyway. But what were your thoughts, Derek, when Eminem was hitting the scene? Were you just like, what is, happening here?
Yeah, I was like, that's me. Seriously, because he was telling his story. Yes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is almost like me. Yes. And I'm like, how did he come up? Now, I got shelved in the early 90s. I was with a production company and everything, and they were paying for my recording time and my suits and my shows, BMI showcases with Dougie Fresh and like all this amazing stuff, right? And then I got shelved because everything went Motown, Boyz II Men, TLC. Yep. Who's that other group that went Mia Moore? They were R&B. Mia Moore. Oh gosh, there was like all these groups, and all of a sudden everything went kind of Motown. Yeah. And then Vanilla Ice had gone out. Yeah. Went down. He crashed, right? Yep. And so they're like, we're not going to take any risks on some white boys now. Marky Mark had been pretty much done. Yeah. So, but none of them, they were all having a good time. I mean, even if I listen to Vanilla Ice right now, Ice Ice Baby, that is a sweet track. Oh yeah. That is the track. I don't care how cool you think you are. When that bumps, it bumps. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't like the rapper itself, but man, his persona or whatever, but it's still, if you didn't know who it was, it bumped. Yes. But nobody was out there speaking like about their life story from the white boy world. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And so I had this deep stuff. So Eminem came out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is deep. I enjoyed it. I was like, holy cow, this is deep. So yeah.
And you heard Dr. Dre even talk about like how many people stopped like talking to him when he represented it. It was like, man, you could tell it still wasn't ready for like that Caucasian or white perspective to come into the scene. Right. Even then,
you had the Vanilla Ice, you had the, but I mean, I loved MC Reach, who was a white boy, and he was Pop Goes the Weasel because the Weasel goes Pop. Yeah. And so MC Reach and all them, but he was really good too. So I mean, there was, but nobody was really talking about the serious, like what rap was really about, your struggle, the streets, the struggle. Mm-hmm. And so when Eminem came out and was talking about his crazy life and everything, I'm like, oh my gosh, so he had Dr. Dre though.
Yeah, he had Dr. Dre. And you almost have like, I don't know if you've heard of NF.
Yes, I love NF.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. He's great. Same thing, telling stories though. He's great. I think he doesn't.
And he keeps it clean. That's what's cool. I don't think... So you can have your kids be listen to it, and it's dark. It's it's definitely dark. And I think about NF, and I think about what's going to happen when he finds joy in his life. Is he going to lose his audience? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people identify with the sadness or depression or the mental health. And
Sure.
I love his stuff.
Yeah.
But at some point, do you keep it up for the money, or do you actually grow? And that's what Eminem's done too, is he's grown, right? And
Sure.
you have to evolve.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I
it's
love
going to
it.
be interesting to see what Mr. Nathaniel NF is going to do with his life.
That's it.
But I like him. He's good.
He is good. He's really talented. I don't
Very
think he gets
good.
a lot of the praise that he deserves, actually.
Yeah.
So I like to do this game, Derek, because I only got like a follow-up question after this, but I like to do this. It's a deck of cards. It's called What's the Word?
Oh,
right?
yeah. Great card.
Yeah, so I'm just going to pull one, man, and whatever it is, it is. So you just tell me when.
Stop.
Okay. We're going to take this one right off the top. You know, I had a guess. He's like, I think you sleight-handed me. I'm like, I didn't. So the question is, Derek, what makes you lose track of time?
Work. I work a lot. I like to work. So as my kids are getting older and such, you know, we'll go ride motorcycles or go do airsoft or go do fun things like that. But they're hanging out with their friends and stuff. But I do like to work, and also music. So I don't play video games or anything like that. Nothing against that, but I'm always into creating, not the zone outs. I don't do the zone outs or anything. I'm always into creating, right? And so I wish I could just sit down and play video games for 2, 3, 4 hours or fish. I can't even fish. People love fishing. If I'm not catching within 5 or 10 minutes, I'm out of there. Like, I got to go do stuff, right? Video games, if I'm not very good at it, I'm out of it, right? I'm just like, I got to go, right? And so I'm creating, playing my music. As you can see, I got all my guitars and my beat machine here. This is what I use to make my beats right here, the Native Instruments machine.
Yeah.
And so that will allow me to get lost in time, big time.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm just creating.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Really quick before I lose the track, because I have that exact machine. Like,
you
I do that too, but because I love beatboxing.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing like I really enjoy doing.
Throw some down. Throw some.
Okay. All right. So,
hey, we'll have a beatbox competition right now. I can
Oh, yes.
All right, come on.
I love this. Okay. Let's see.
Oh my.
And then it goes like, let's see, let's get some.
They might beat me.
Yeah. Come on. Let's go.
All right, here we go.
Come on.
In too deep from the bay.
Yeah.
Check a mic 1, check a 2, check 3. Ripping, I think I'm making it, I'm gonna make it, kicking it funky. Now, what I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm on the bass. I'm gonna dope rhymes. I don't know. I'm just
I love it. I love
two
that.
white boys going at it. Huh?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so do something like this. Do.
If can I just do something like a random
like something on a 105 tempo or 110 tempo.
Let's see if we do like a
okay, now faster. I'ma live till I die, never die till I live, never give up. Always looking for my next gig. Can I get a penny with the microphone? I'm feeling like a winner. No one ever knew me when I was a beginner. Now I'm flying like an eagle, begging like a seagull, chilling like a beagle, cashing checks that are legal. Feeling kind of regal like a king and a sheeple. I'm looking in the haters' eyes, forgiving all the people been beat down, thrown away. I never gave up. I'm like Rudy Rocky Terminator, never lose my luck. I don't care what you're seeing, believe in what you heard. To me, impossible is not a real word.
Come on.
I know how well that came out. I couldn't hear your beat. So.
I love it. Oh my gosh. We need to jump on when we do the IG live.
Yeah.
I'll pre-record a beat, dude, and let's freestyle on it. It'll be so much fun. So much fun. Derek, oh man, this has been one of my favorite episodes, man. I
Awesome.
love this.
Awesome.
I don't even know. We're gonna end it like this because I want to respect your time.
Oh yeah, no problem.
What is what's the one piece of advice that you would want to make sure you left behind for your children?
Okay, so I'm gonna do it in a rhyme. I'll do it
Please
in a
do.
rap. My
Please do.
my word of advice.
Okay.
So here's a few lessons that I've learned. I've turned a mess into a message and earned a return. I've turned scars into stars, lived like avatars. No one can stop you if you believe in your heart. And this is your life. Go and own it. Never let the past infect your future for a moment. Never let a weakness destroy your greatness. It's time to profess. You're too blessed to be stressed. Bam! You could be everything you want to be, but never let the inner me be your enemy. It's time to be better and not bitter. It's a choice to be a winner, and it's a choice to be a quitter. So if you've been knocked down or thought about suicide, get out of the shadows and hold your head high, because this is your time and this is your sign. Get up and climb. You were born for this moment to shine. My name's Rappin' Dad, Derek Clark. Find me on all social media, Rappin' Dad. Find me at my website, IWillNeverGiveUp.com, Instagram, Facebook, everything, Rappin' Dad, RAPPINGDAD. You'll see the little blue check mark verified. Peace out. Thanks for having me.